Our next speaker is Vikranth Pulamathi, and he'll be speaking on Coming Out from Fearful Shadows, a multi-pronged large-scale campaign for the 7th September 2025 lunar eclipse in India. Um, Welcome, Vic, and over to you.
Thank you, thank you. I hope I'm audible and you can all hear me. I just wanted some confirmation.
Yes, you can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the introduction, and I'm glad to be here again. I'll straight away start off. For us as scientists and science communicators, eclipses, always mean an alignment of the predictable bodies, their shadows, and so on and so forth. But for many in India, it is still associated with fear, restrictions, and superstitions. So for us as a scientific institution, the question becomes, can a scientific institution such as the Indian Institute of Astrophysics help change the public story of an eclipse in general, right? And to do this, just figuring out, yeah. To do this, we have the Science Communication, Public Outreach, and Education section, which is a dedicated outreach section, which is focused on popularizing astronomy to a diversity of stakeholders. And the advantage of having such a dedicated outreach section in an academic institution is that we are able to plan and execute large scale and long term programs. And coming from an astronomy institution, we are able to also work with a large body of astronomers that are scattered across the country, right? And to start off, like I said, the superstitions exist quite a bit. So in India, like I said, the eclipses are viewed through a lens of fear, pseudoscience, traditional anxiety, and very rarely viewed as a natural phenomena that is something to be looked out for. And this includes a lot of myths and superstitions, right? So like food contamination, we don't people don't tend to eat or drink during or before an eclipse. There's many restrictions on pregnant women. If you can see the photos on the left side, you can see a lot of do's and don'ts. There's a lot of avoidance, purification rituals, and the news channels tend to have a lot of discussions about the astrology of the eclipse and the effect that it'll have on people, rather than focusing on why eclipses occur and so on, right? And therefore we had an opportunity, and in September 2025 we decided to respond not with a single event to talk about the eclipse, but rather with a collaborative campaign across the nation. The total lunar eclipse of 7 September gave us that opportunity to have a myth busting outreach campaign across the states, right? Yeah. So this is the collaborative ecosystem that we formed, where communication about the eclipse, although has been going on for decades in the country, it's been very fragmented. Separate colleges and NGOs just do it by themselves, and there wasn't any collaboration between. There wasn't a lot of collaboration between multiple institutions. So the IA, the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, stepped in, and we wanted to employ the cascade model and have a structured regime to train more trainers, and therefore we can reach a lot of people. And we did this on a large scale. So the points you see here is something I'm going to talk about over the next couple of minutes. To start off with, I'm going to talk about the decentralized cascade model, which I'm sure many of us here are familiar with. The Indian Institute of Astrophysics acted as the central hub, and we took initiative in forming the collaborative platforms. And the mid layer, of course, was to collaborate with institutions to organize programs to train the trainers, who would then go ahead and talk to more people, organize events, and so on. And this training wasn't simply a couple of lectures or something like that, but it included the science of the eclipse, which is, of course, the theory part, which is needed. But it also included a lot of hands-on activities that could be done for low cost or no cost, and that is very important for rural areas. And this then, of course, after we finished training, led to a cascade effect where we also partnered with the government department, especially the rural government departments, and other organizations, and that led to a lot of organic community discussions in rural villages, which hadn't been happening before. Right. And the force multiplier, of course, is the collaborative platforms, where we were able to unify several institutions to form a massive platform. And this happened across 2 states. I've mentioned one of them in the photo down there. We did this in the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And we also leveraged the existing voluntary science facilitator networks, because, like I said, there were NGOs and other institutions that have been doing eclipse outreach for a long time, but there hasn't been a lot of synergy between them. So we were able to work with them to form this network, or this collaborative platform. And because of that, we were able to also reach a larger group of dialects inside each state, because even though each state, we say, has one local language, internally, once you start going to rural areas, there's a lot more dialects, and you want the local people there to be able to communicate to them appropriate information, right? And the scale, of course, of this was the mass campaign that we did. We were able to print and distribute more than 50,000 posters in everyday public spaces. I'll quickly talk about it in the next slide. And the idea or the strategy was to make this also open source, so that people from across the country could take it, use it, adapt it to their own language, and distribute it across. And it has actually worked really, really well for us. And the idea of doing this, of course, was also to reframe the eclipse as a natural spectacle, something that happens just because some planets and moons tend to come together, and nothing to be worried about. And the photos here are a glimpse of the material that we've designed and distributed across the states. And this is the public square that I was talking about. The 50,000 and more posters that we printed and distributed were placed in highly public visible zones, such as flyovers. There's dedicated zones for them, bus stands, the notice boards, the railway stations, and of course, schools and colleges. But apart from that, it was also important to use the digital media, and therefore we organized press conferences in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, followed by a lot of personal interviews that talked about the signs of the eclipse, the myths surrounding the eclipse, and why one should always not be worried about it, but rather go out and look at it. And the screenshots again show the press releases that we've been giving out as part of the collaborative platform initiated by us about the eclipse, and how to see it and so on. Which leads us to the big night, the night of the eclipse itself. Uh, as part of the collaborative platforms, a lot of physical events were organized across the states by several organizations who were part of the platform and also not yet part of the platform, and that was something really nice for us. So these were decentralized set of events because each of them were doing their own set of events, but they were yet connected to the same network, and therefore we were all aware of it and so on. And all of these were publicized as part of the platform and were free for all. So if, for example, our institute was only able to support so many number of people, and if there were more people interested to see it, we were able to guide them to the next closest location, and this was only possible because we had this network of the platform, right? And the photos on the left you can see are the individual events that happen. The digital inclusion, of course, is a major part of it. We were able to live stream the eclipse from 5 different places because the Indian Institute of Astrophysics runs 4 different observatories and another technology center across the country. And we were able to live stream the eclipse from each of these places. You can see the screenshot of the YouTube live stream over there. And of course, with a live stream always comes a commentary. And the IIA happens to be a very diverse place in terms of language because we have staff and students from different parts of the country, and therefore we were able to provide running commentary about the eclipse in more than a dozen Indian languages. And therefore, even though we were on YouTube, just confined to where our locations were, we were able to sort of pass the barrier of geography and linguistics. And this live coverage, of course, was also carried over by other media channels. I'd like to spend a little more time on this slide particularly, and guide your attention to the photos in the middle row, the 2 photos in the middle row, the landscape one and the portrait one where people are pointing up, sort of. Now, these photos were not from any fancy cities or anything. This is from the rural communities that we've been trying to reach, and we did through the cascade model, through the trainers that we had trained. And you can see that the first one is where people are eating, busting the myth of all of that. And the second one, they've actually stepped out and looked at the eclipse. I have 3 minutes. Thank you. The quantitative impact, the numbers, of course, I've already mentioned it throughout my talk. More than 50,000 posters, 75,000 viewers through the live stream, and of course, millions reach through print and digital media and so on. The qualitative impact is something a little more interesting because we were able to interrupt the traditional narratives that led to superstitions and misinformation. And you can see the photos on the left. These were the hands-on activities that people did. And I've showed you the photos. We've just seen that rural communities organized public gatherings and ate during the eclipse, which is a huge win for us. right? And the key learnings, of course, is that the advantage of these kind of networks work, the cascade training works, and we were able to build in the whole idea of scientific temper through them, because the information we provided was culturally rooted, and so they were able to relate to it. And I think I'll go to my last but one slide, where we were able to replace fear of the eclipse with scientific storytelling. Because, like I said, can the question that we were asking is, can a scientific institution help change the public story of an eclipse? So we were able to replace it with a new story, where we reframe the ominous eclipse, or something that is bad, to something that is a natural spectacle, and why someone should always look at it. We were able to replace the avoidance with direct viewing. People went out and saw the eclipse, especially in the rural areas, and therefore we were able to shift the perception from inauspicious occurrences to predictable and observable natural phenomena. And with this, I think I also end my talk, where the 2025 Total Lunar Eclipse campaign proved that collaboration between scientific institutions and grassroots organizations can, if put together properly, can replace fear with knowledge. Thank you. Naomi, I'm done if you're here. Oh, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. You can put in the Q&A box if we have some time, that is. All right, I don't see any. All right. Right, I don't see any questions on the chat either. If someone here can sort of coordinate that. Oh, thank you. It's nice to hear that. I'm sorry, I don't see that Naomi is here. Oh, I see. Yeah, I was not able to hear you. Correct. All right.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, now I can hear
Okay,
you from
okay.
the
So
stage. Yes.
okay, so we go with the question.
Yes.
Thank you for your excellent talk. I would
Thank you.
ask you, how is the response of the commercial and governmental mass media to your campaign for the eclipse? Thank you.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, the response has been great, and we've received a lot of support from a lot of organizations that includes the commercial, non-commercial, and the government organizations. One thing that I didn't explicitly mention is that the rural, communities that we were training is part of our ongoing collaboration of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics with a department of the government of the state that runs 6,000 rural libraries across the state, right? And my colleague Neeraj is actually giving a talk about that tomorrow. But the response has been great, and all of the librarians that we talked to, who were the trainers for us, who were the trainees rather, they were very, very happy, and they had a lot of questions, and at the end of the training sessions, all of them came back to us saying, we thought it was scary, but now it's like amazing. And the responses were, of course, in some of the photos that I showed, that they were actually out there viewing the eclipse, and that's a huge win for us.
Thank you. Is there any more questions from the room?
So I see a question on the stage chat. If I can read that out, is that okay?
Yeah, please go on.
So Claudia is asking if how long before did the coordination efforts start? So we started. So the eclipse was in September, but I think our efforts to form this collaborative platform and everything started way back in July itself, end of June, July. So it did take quite a bit of time for us to get everybody together and have a discussion on how we should proceed, and what are the things to be done, what could be the possible issues that could arise, who do we talk to, and how do we go about what kind of resource materials we make, what would be the most efficient way to reach the rural communities which may or may not have internet access and so on. So we started a couple of months before the eclipse itself.
Okay, is there any more questions? I have one brief question. I was impressed when if I understood correctly, you translated in dozens of languages to cover as much as possible of India. So how much coverage do you have and how many languages do you have to? It's like a big international event, but
So, like I said, the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, which is where I'm from, we have staff and students that come from different parts of the country, right? So they by themselves spoke different languages, and sort of just to rephrase your question, we had commentary for the live stream of the eclipse in about a dozen languages, whereas the posters were just made in 2 or 3 languages. But the commentary was more than a dozen. And what we did is, while the eclipse was going on, we would get these people to come to the live stream room and just talk to the people about what's going on, what to expect, and what's it going to look like, and so on. Sort of just interact with the live stream crowd there.
okay. Thank you, Vikranth. Let's thank the speaker again.
Thank you.
And we can move on to the next speaker. Please, Naomi. Hey, maybe Naomi is not cannot talk. So thank you, Larissa Okiyama, for being here, the last speaker of this morning session. So please, up to you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so good morning. I'm Larissa Okiyama. I'm from Brazil, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Closer to the Sky. That is our astronomy outreach program to co-create astronomical knowledge in Pavãozinho, Cantagalo, favela complex of Rio de Janeiro. Well, I created this presentation with Ariana Cortesi, Agatha Mazel, and Claudia Mignoni. And how can I? Oh, yeah. And first, I would like to thank our partners that make this project available. And I would like to first just introduce a little bit what a favela is. Is a community built on strong mutual support with a rich culture, but this solidarity is made of necessity because of lack of public infrastructure, and families are forced to live in a small and unfinished houses. Many of them lack sanitation, basic sanitation, and running water. And these families usually have low and unstable family incomes, which made the money just entirely consumed by the survival needs. Well, according to Data Favela 2025, they interviewed nearly 4,000 interviews in 23 different Brazilian states with people involved in drug trafficking crimes. And Of them, 80% was born and raised in a favela. So the demography profile of the interview, so people joining the crime are 79% are male, 74% are black, and half of them are young, between 13 and 26 years old. So when you take a look at the mortality rate statistics of Brazil, we can see that black men are 2 to 3 times more likely to die by a homicide in Brazil. Young black men had the highest mortality rate in 2023, and young black men were the main victims of violent deaths. So these mortality rates are highly inflated because of these population forms, the demographic base recruited by the crime. And as we can see, many of them entering the crime really young, at a really young age, and they do not even finish the primary school, and 52% of them have already a children. So this cycle tends to repeat. But there is a crucial point that is when they were asked about if they would let their child get involved in crime, 84% said no. And even revealing, they were questioned about what were their childhood dreams, and they asked did they want to be a professor, they want to be a pilot, an astronaut. So crime wasn't their first option. It's not the dream. So it's something that you can change. What if we what if it's different, the things were different? What if they are encouraged to stay at school, to study? So Close to the Sky wants to break the cycle by providing scientific knowledge, encourage school retention, enhance academic profiles, promote culture experience, and showcase diverse roles models in science to make them believe that they can be in science. By bringing these kids closer to the sky, our ultimate goal is to build their self-esteem and show that they belong in science too. So our our classes take a place at Pavões in Cantacalo, that is a complex, and it's a unserved neighborhood situation with the Rio wealthiest area between Copacabana, Ipanema, that are all famous and rich places in Rio. And far beyond the drug trade, in reality, this place is amazing. It's a territory with overflowing life. They love music. They have a vibrant culture, urban art, rap and funk scene. So it's a really amazing place. So to work with these kids, we join a lot part of the community, like the community members, the local artists like Yani and Akimi that created the Ninho of the Zagas. That is a local initiative that promotes extracurricular and academic tutoring to these kids. We also have astronomy students and astronomers and some supporters of others projects. Well, our target audience is children and teen groups. We started this project at the pandemic just as a simple initiative to make them look at the sky, but also things normalized. We created the first group, that's the junior group, in 2023, and it was really successful. Children loved the fathers too, the parents. And after that, we created a teen group. But the problem is that while it also well received, we soon began to notice some attendance issues, because in these communities, teenagers are often expected to manage the household or to take care of siblings while their parents are working. So to deal with that, we are encouraging student participation through some scholarships. These problems are even higher when you imagine in young women. They need to, this burden falls more on them. And we research and we partnered with Querubinis. That's a collaboration that helps girls. And with this collaboration and the FAPEJ scholarships, we account for 6 scholarships from Querubinis and one scholarship from our own project. This is the Querubins group. 3 of them are from PPG, that's Pavão Pavãozinho Cantagalo complex, but the others are also public middle schools from periphery. And this project aims to provide STEM and English and competitive opportunities for girls. Yeah, and how we take our classes. First, we have a guide, but we have a flexible guide, allowing us to adapt the content dynamically according to students' curiosity. We have theoretical class with a normal whiteboard or YouTube videos. We have practical class with some interactive exercises on tablet or experiments, hands-on telescope observations, or some remote observations of other telescopes. We also have art integrated classes. We can learn astronomy through music, painting, voyager, and some scale models. We also take them to field trips like planetarium, museum, and observatories, and bring in some guest lectures of different topics. Well, here you can see a lot of these different activities in the scale model of the solar system, some rap battles about astronomy, whiteboard classes, some night sky observations with telescopes, and we also can see the Maria Clara's book. That's a book that we created to make children understand better astronomy, and you can see the constellation that you can construct with LED lights. Well, this is some field trips that we take them. The last one was visit to the Zingano Park in Santa Maria Madalena. That's a dark sky festival. And we have some challenges with them, like they have a little bit difficult to understand some abstract concepts and to retain some information. That's due because some national data show that public elementary schools, especially in high vulnerable areas, do not reach adequate proficiency levels in mathematics and Portuguese. That's the language of Brazil. So we are dealing with learning poverty That is a term created by World Bank and UNESCO referring to an ability of 10 years old child to read and comprehend a simple text. So what to do? We fight against that, doing some activities connected to their reality, encourage them research on topics of interest so they can stay focused, and co-creating some workbook with the students so they need to understand and they need to focus to pass through this information. Well, we had some more challenges. We suffered a fire and we lost the work already done by the students, a telescope, a computer, and the library books. And we kept having our classes, but in an uncovered area. But thanks to the funding, the support of volunteers, and the community itself, we rebuilt the Ninho and got a new telescope from André, from Telescópio de Rua. And now with him, we take our students to busy areas like Copacabana Beach to do astronomy outreach together. So something that we really want to understand is the depth of our impact in their lives. So we brought a medical anthropologist, Agatha Mazeu, to conduct some interviews with our students, and participation into this project was described by a student as an explosion of the eyes. So looking at telescopes is really transformative. Now they can imagine new lives, new futures, and for themselves and community. And with that, we are creating a music based on that explosion of the ice, and we are using AI to do some visual effects, and it's our future plans. So thank you, and I'm waiting for your questions.
Thank you very much, Larissa. Let's start with the questions from the room. Is there any questions? Okay, there's one. Oh, can you hear us, by the way? Larissa, can you hear us? Larissa, they tell us here that you should be able to hear us. Can you confirm? Naomi, can you hear us? Wait a second. Yes, we're back online. But yes, okay, we can hear you. Larissa, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so there is a question from the room.
Hi, Larissa. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. It's really magnificent what you are doing for those community. My question to you is, what is the communication tools do you use to communicate with the kids? Do you only depend on the schools, or do you actually do also activities aside of the schools? In this case, how would they know about your activities?
Depends. When they are from the community itself, we can communicate to them through the Ninho das Águias. It's already a project that it's a, I don't know, was created a real long ago to give them extracurriculars and some academic tutoring. So the people of the community already know Ninho das Águias, but some of them we need to communicate it to them with the school, but most of them are through the Ninho das Águias.
Okay, thank you. There's two more questions.
Did you reach out to indigenous people of Brasilia? Because I'm thinking, some spot in your map, and there's more than 100 indigenous languages in your country, and you mentioned that you interviewed 3,000, students, and those people who actually asked question. So, how many actual languages they speak, and how your expert reach out to.
Actually, we have a lot of languages when you think in indigenous language, but mostly people speak Portuguese, and some of them speak English, and we are trying to teach them English, so they usually speak Portuguese with a really different slangs. With if you come to Brazil, you can really notice the change, the difference, but mostly Portuguese.
Okay, and one final question for you, Larissa.
Thank you, Larissa.
Okay.
Sorry. So, do you have any information on the impact of this program on the school performance of these kids? Like if they have improved in the school, or if it is sometimes difficult in terms of they are very excited about astronomy, but then they encourage problems in school and then they get demotivated because of that?
We don't have this yet, but we are trying to achieve, and we don't have the results of the school, but talking to the kids, even more with the young people, the teen group, they are now trying to get in a university that's really a different path of favela people. So it's we can notice this impact, but we need to talk to the school to understand better how this changed for years.
Okay, thank you again, Larissa, for your talk. Okay, yeah, please.
Actually, they are really involved in the project. We are not handle with dropouts like of a lack of interest. It's not something that we need to handle. And what the problem is, they need to start to like at a really young age, like 13, 14, they need to start to work. So this kind of scholarship is enough to keep them going to the classes. They really like it. Mm, Actually, no, there is no difference, and that's really, really, it's a really big result because the girls, as I told you, there is a higher dropout rate, so it's not a lack of interest, and they like, I don't know, they are all passionate and engaged with the activities. but in their types, like boys like more like experiments, and the girls likes more a different types of classes, like kind of a whiteboard, but in a nice way. So they're all passionate about it.
Okay, thank you, Naomi. Thanks again to Larissa and to all the speakers of this very interesting morning session. So thanks.